Hi everyone, I am so excited to finally film. As you can see, we have a foundation. And we all know a foundation doesn't come out of anywhere. And so what I want to do is take you guys back to how we got here.
Yep, absolutely. So I would call this would be we're in the structural phase, right? So we're about to go vertical here soon. Before structural phase, you're in the pre-construction phase. And the main aspect of pre-construction is location. So for me, when we were looking at lots and different lands to purchase, I really just wanted somewhere where we could put a pool in because the girls asked me to build a pool, and I committed to that. So Daddy got to build them a pool. But how we came about here, this location, Third Ward, is really Ashley. And so Ashley, why do you like Riverside Terrace?
So Riverside Terrace is my dream neighborhood. Riverside Terrace is a community within Third Ward in Houston, Texas. So for me, it was the location of Riverside Terrace, the history, and also the diversity.
Okay, that's some good points. So we really want to start diving in a little bit deeper. So we can't TikTok y'all to death and short clip you to death. So if you will, there's going to be a link in our profile. Go ahead and jump over to the link to the YouTube page, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into details. So let's elaborate on those points a little bit more. So what about the history?
So the little bit of history about Riverside Terrace is in 1920, the neighborhood began to form. And so in 1920, you have a influx of affluent Jewish families. And so at this time, between 1920 and 1930, there were deed restrictions on certain neighborhoods in Houston that basically did not allow certain race or religions, to build.
Okay.
And so Jewish families could not build in River Oaks, which is another very affluent neighborhood. So you have a lot of Jewish families build these amazing homes between the 1920s and 1930s. And so if you go through Riverside Terrace, you'll see just some very massive homes with amazing charm.
Yeah.
Then around 1950, 1960, when we go through desegregation, a lot of rights for different types of people, African Americans and religion, we start having these laws, this discrimination laws that were coming out. And so you have more African Americans moving in to the neighborhood, affluent African Americans who can afford these amazing homes. Then you have what we call like the Jewish flight, and they slowly began to leave, and now they can kind of live anywhere. So
they started to leave because African Americans started to purchase.
Well, I say it's a combination of you do have the typical African Americans come in, people leave, but also now it's an opportunity they can live anywhere. So these deed restrictions begin to be removed; they become illegal, and so now you have this opportunity for these families to live anywhere. So yeah.
Okay. So next you said location. What was your second one?
Location. So diversity, what we talked about. I mean, history.
No, history. Yes. And then second was location.
Second is location. So for us, the location is, you can't beat it. So if you know anything about Houston, Third Ward is centered right inside the loop. So Houston is a very large city with a lot of suburbs. And in the core downtown, there is a freeway called 610. It kind of loops around downtown. And so if you're a Houstonian, you know about staying inside the loop. So to get land inside the loop is a very prime. It's a prime location.
In certain areas.
So in certain areas to get inside the loop. And so Third Ward is one. So within this area, you have the medical center. So we're like 5 to 7 minutes from the medical center. You have colleges. So you have TSU. You have University of Houston. Go Cougs. Mm-hmm. You have, for us, it is 7 minutes from our girls' school.
Yeah.
It is 2 minutes from our church. We go to Amazing Church. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Willard Avenue Baptist. And this is where we met. This is where we met. We met at U of H. We've always been inside the loop. So the loop for us is home, and we never had any interest of moving to the suburbs.
Okay. I agree with that. So definitely proximity. So being able to just get on 288, really get to anywhere, 59, 610. And then the last one was diversity, right?
Diversity. So like we talked about the history around 1950, 1960, you have more affluent African Americans moving in. Well, also, now we're in a new timeline span, and around the 2000s are where people start to move back into the city. You're seeing it in Detroit. You see it in Atlanta. Everyone's moving from the suburb. When I say everyone, I say other people are moving from the suburbs, moving back into the city. And so you start seeing this change of revitalization, gentrification of these neighborhoods. So now you're seeing more people come back to the city and buy up these old homes, buy land, tear them down, rebuild. And so what that has resulted in Third Ward is a very diverse neighborhood. So you're going to see anybody walking their dog, white, black, Hispanic, Asian. You're going to see a little bit of everybody. And that is what I love about Houston. It's just very diverse. And so my girls will be able to grow up in a neighborhood full of diversity.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we identified the location, right?
Yeah.
So now we got to execute. So what's important about execution?
In what regards?
Getting this lot.
So for us, it was working with a good realtor. So I think you probably will be the best person to discuss that on like how we got the land, because that was not easy.
Yeah, it wasn't. So definitely having an experienced realtor is key. Shout out to McCall. She's actually based out of Dallas, but she lived in Houston for a while and really knows the area a lot. So she actually covers Houston and Dallas. So if you need a realtor, definitely reach out to her. But definitely having a realtor that's done land deals before, because she was asking questions that we didn't even think about, and really helped us in terms of getting clarity on a lot of things. Secondly, when purchasing a lot, is making sure you know how to read your land survey. So your land survey is essentially just a map. It's just a map of what you're buying, and the most important thing is understanding what you can build on that land.
Yeah.
And on that land survey, make sure it's a land survey, not a replat. The land survey will tell you what your building lines are, if there's any easements, which are basically restrictions that can be put by the city, the power company, oil company saying, hey, we have rights to this part of your land.
Yeah.
So you can't build anything on it. So for us, we have an easement on the back of our property. So from 10 feet from that back fence, we can't build anything. And that's one of the reasons why our pool is not larger than what it is. But again, that's something that you have to take into consideration.
So when you say survey, how do you get my hands on a survey? So if I am looking for land, I'm driving around, do I have to put in an offer to get these surveys? Do I have to pay for these surveys myself? How accessible, how easy is it to get a survey of the land?
So that depends. So one, the seller could have a survey already available. You definitely, if you're purchasing, you want to get your hands on that survey. Second, they may say, hey, you could buy your own survey. We'll allow you to survey our land to get the right measurement stuff. But a survey is going to run you anywhere between $800 to $1,000. So you could get into an agreement with them. Hey, I'll cover half. You cover the other half. But it really just depends. So if you really fall in love with that piece of land, they don't have a survey. You may want to buy that out of pocket.
Yeah.
But definitely something that you need to see before you purchase.
Yeah, I mean, a survey is important. We didn't realize the importance of it. So if you are driving by and you see this amazing corner lot that is $40,000 in the heart of Third Ward, don't go in and put an offer on it, because there probably is a reason why it's priced so low and also why it's available. Yeah. So you want to make sure, like AJ said, they can literally have like a rights line or a no-bill line right in the middle. So you really want to make sure you get a survey before you put any money, like put any offer in on that land, because once you do, you're stuck with that, and there's no getting around whatever restrictions are on the surveys.
And good you mentioned. So corner lots can be tricky because you have two street facing on your property. So you could have 15 feet from the front and then another 15 feet from the side. So just think about you're just cutting down on a chunk of your pie. So we looked at a piece of land that was to the back of a freeway, and the city has a 25-foot easement from if your property is against the freeway. So I mean, you cut down on half the lot just by removing 25 feet from that. So it just depends. It depends on location. On where you're at and where you're looking. So
I think for us, the land process was a bit harder than what we thought. And you have to, so just to kind of recap, you have to get a great realtor, and a realtor who knows how to deal with land. Mm-hmm. We tried a few realtors who really were more specialized in homes, and so contacting landowners can be a little tricky. So having a realtor who knows what they're doing when it comes to like landowners, finding the right location is important as well. And then understanding your survey, just really understanding what you're building, and then understanding any deed restrictions. I think that's important. So
so the last part, deed restrictions. So you could have a property that's not in a HOA, but there's still deed restrictions, and that's because there could be a civic club. So our land is in an area where there's a civic club, which is basically it's kind of like an HOA, but it doesn't have as many restrictions. Um, but based on that, so when we got our blueprints approved,
Yeah.
the civic club for Riverside Terrace actually had to approve our plans.
Yeah.
So even though the city approved our plans, we couldn't move forward with building it without their approval as well. And they're looking at the build lines, the property lines. Some can go as extreme as the color, the material of your exterior. That's when you start getting into more of the HOAs. So make sure you're reading those deed restrictions, because you could feel you're purchasing the perfect piece of land, and you don't read your deed restrictions or your HOA restrictions, and you can't do what you want. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's crazy stories about HOAs out there. So the HOAs can really dictate, hey, you have to have brick all throughout your property. I mean, brick cost is a higher cost than siding. I mean, those are the type of things that you have to take into account, and why you need to read and make sure you're getting that information. And you will get that once you have an accepted offer, and then you have a due diligence period. So during this due diligence period, you will get those deed restrictions from the title company.
Yes.
And
Read 'em.
you need to read them. Like,
Read 'em.
I mean, ours were super old. They're basically scanned from a typewriter scanned documents.
Yeah.
And you have to sit there and read them to make sure you don't have any restrictions that won't allow you to build what you want to build. And at that point, you could back out of your deal.
Yeah. And then AJ actually found some clauses that no fault to our engineer, that our engineer didn't really pick up, or misunderstood and misread. And he was able to bring it up, and that affects our design as well. So like that build easement and the width, all that stuff, like how far you can build from the street, is very important. And it's important that you understand, because it's your money and it's your time. And so what I'm finding in these house builds, you can buy anything, but
Yeah.
can you legally build it? That's the issue. So
yeah, so I think that encompasses everything in terms of the location and land and purchasing land. Well, the last part will be financing. With purchasing a land, it's a little bit different than just buying a home as well. You have two options, right? So you can either pay out of pocket cash, or you could get financed through a bank. You're not going to get financing from like a large bank like a Chase, JP Morgan, Bank of America. Those type of banks, they really don't do land deals or land financing. You really have to call around your community banks, your credit unions. And even with that, you're not going to get a 30-year loan.
Not for land.
Not for land. So with land, is considered a little bit riskier, because obviously there's no structure on the property. So for most of them, they're going to do 7 to 10 year deals. So for us, we had a 7-year balloon.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds great. So for 7 years, we had a set fixed payment. And then at the end of the 7 years, we would have had to make a lump sum payment. Now, when we went into this, we knew what we wanted to do, and we had a structure. We knew that we were going to be paying on the land aggressively and pay off the land before we started building. So that wasn't a factor for us. We bought it. We bought this land
2021.
2021, and we finished paying it off in
2022. I think.
No, 2023.
Okay.
May 2023. So our mindset was different, and we could get into Dave Ramsey.
But also for land loans, the intent or short term, even if you didn't want to aggressively pay it off in 2 years, the ideal is you buy the land and then you build a home and then you refinance the whole thing and it becomes a 30-year mortgage. So it's not intended to sit on the land for that 7 years, but it gives you about 7 years to build what you need, and then the ideal is that you pay the land loan off with your mortgage loan. And so that is why most land loans are like that. No land loan is going to be 30 years, because the intent is that you would pay it off with your mortgage. But so I think the land closing process was pretty quick. It was just finding the right lender. Finding the right lender was the longest part. And then they do like a appraisal. They still do the same thing as appraisal. I think we went in under the offer. We went in at the appraised value. Appraisal is very important too, especially when you don't have a build. And so we found our bank, went in, closed in less than 30 days. It was easy peasy. Then we just started paying on that. So
yeah. So I think that covers
the land, the purchase of the land.
Land purchase, the pre-construction. So yeah. So thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Hello, I'm Adrian Autumn, And we are the McLennan family. And please like and subscribe my mommy and daddy video. And bye! And please let you have a good time watching the video. Bye! Blah, 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 blue, yeah!